On this bonus episode, it is the holiday season. It is a time for giving, and my gift to you guys is, of course, extra videos. So I hope you're enjoying these, and I have a feeling that this video is going to be legendary. Or at least kind of, urban legendary, because we're talking about the Urban Legend series, or Urban Legends. I'm still not sure on that. But I have a feeling that this continuity is actually going to make a ton of sense, and because I know this because my sister has a cousin who has a roommate whose brother had a neighbor that told him that he watched them all, and it made perfect sense. The legend begins back in 1988 with Urban Legend with no S, riding on the wave of popularity of slasher flicks that Scream kicked off. It opens with Natasha Gregson Wagner, who was another one of those actresses that was just everywhere for a while and then kinda vanished. Brad Dourif classes things up real quick, speaking with a stutter and a possible reference to Cuckoo's Nest, and they do the whole killer in the backseat urban legend, but their version makes no sense since the situation could easily have been avoided with simple communication, and I have no idea how she wouldn't see someone in the backseat anyway. Then, oh yay, Tara Reid is in this, as is the little girl from Dune, the Noxzema girl, Lex Luthor with hair, the worst Joker, worse than Cesar Romero with the mustache. Worse than Booger in the OnStar commercials.
This is how you exterminate a bat?
And we learn that 25 years ago there was a massacre at their school. And then even Pacey shows up with bright yellow hair. Freddy himself is here and he's teaching about urban legends, and this school newspaper lets us know that we're set in April of 1998, so the film is in real time. They read about the backseat killer thing, and I'm noting right now that this scene is right after the urban legend lecture. The cast list grows as Loretta Devine is in this, and you can thank Stella for me recognizing her as the voice of Hallie from Doc McStuffins. Put that in the big book of boo-boos! Jamie Lloyd is in here too, and she's super goth and listening to Stabbing Westward because that's what goths do, right? We get our first look at the killer, and her identity is hidden by a hooded parka, and Damon is killed in a recreation of the whole hanging boyfriend, feet on the roof legend. They figure out that someone is recreating urban myths to kill people, but since Michelle was killed before the lecture, no one thinks it's a weird coincidence for some reason. They do the whole "aren't you glad you didn't turn on the lights" things, and here's where I talk about how silly this whole concept is. This only works because she didn't turn on the light. The opening only works because the guy at the gas station happened to have a stutter. Doing these killings and having them match the urban legends is all stupidly lucky on the killer's part. They say that it's the 25th anniversary of the old killings and they were in 1973, so that confirms us in 98 again, and it's revealed that Natalie and Michelle accidentally killed someone in high school. More people get killed, and they have to try really, really hard to shoehorn the whole urban legend thing in there, and the killer is revealed to be Brenda. Yes, 98-pound Brenda, who was somehow able to overpower Parker and lift Damon up with a rope. And the guy that was killed in the car by Nat was her boyfriend, and this was just a few years before actress Rebecca Gayheart actually killed someone with her car. She wanted revenge against Natalie, so I guess killed, everyone around her while spending a long time becoming her friend first, because I guess Brenda went to the same revenge school as the guy from I Still Know What You Did Last Summer. Reese saves the day, and they shoot Brenda, but she's still alive. Monster in the backseat, oldest trick in the book. And they send her flying into the river, but she survives, setting us up for more. Urban Legend made a ton of money, so of course there was a sequel, and that came 2 years later with 2000's Urban Legend 2, or Urban Legends with an S, Final Cut. This one has the house girl, Johnny Blaze's girlfriend, the Whoa guy, and we're at a whole new school, a film school this time, and Mahalik goes here, and hey, Reese is here too, and she tells us the story of the first film, saying that the killings were covered up, and that she spent a year looking for work before landing this job, so it's clear that more than a year has passed. Amy decides to make her student film based on the first film, and then Vampire Diary Boy is here, and Lisa here is the first victim, a recreation of the old kidney bathtub story, and she's decapitated. This clapboard shows the date as being 11/26, so with the first film taking place in April, and the events being covered up, and Reese taking a year to find a job, this is probably 1 year later in 1999, although it could be 2000 as well, since we don't exactly know how long she's been working there. The killer kills Sandra with a 16mm camera with a mic pack taped to it, and fellow old school film guys know that when he proceeds to show it to the others, like the very next day, he had to get that film processed, which, okay, maybe the film school has a lab, but then had to sync the sound and mix it down and then go to sound sync. All of this is pretty much impossible to do in one day. Travis kills himself, and they say that in 1992, Amy was 13 years old. So if this is 1999, she'd be 19 and I guess a sophomore. Turns out that Travis has a twin. Our killer's disguise is now a fencing outfit, and like the first film, the whole urban legend aspect relies more on coincidence than anything else. Weirdly, Reese's calendar shows it as being January, but since it's only been a few days since that clapboard, something is off. The highlight of the film is the killer wearing a minor costume over the fencing costume, and then there's this bit of weird. Amy sees a light on in a building across the street, and Vanessa is there and says that she got a note to meet her there. But how did they know that Amy would wake up right then? That she would look out the window right then? That she would even notice the light as a signal to come over? A better view of Reese's calendar shows the days lining up with the January of 2000, so if you ignore that clapboard, having the film in real time makes sense with the whole 1 year to find a job timeline. It turns out that the professor is the killer, and he has a gun that knocks people through walls. He says that he wanted to steal Travis's film idea and used Amy's urban legend idea to create an alibi, and with Reese's help, they shoot the professor and everything wraps up all nice, but Solomon survives, and Brenda appears at the last minute to team up, I guess setting us up for another one, even though we never see those two again. It took 5 years for anything to happen, and it wasn't until 2005's direct-to-video Urban Legends Bloody Mary that the franchise was brought back. This one kicks off in 1969 as some jock guys accidentally kill Mary here, and we find out that it was a story that they say was over 30 years ago, so we're set after 1999 then. And Kate Mara, star of that one scene from Iron Man 2, is here, and pillow fight!
Girls do this, right? This is an actual thing that girls do, right?
They invoke Bloody Mary like the old legend, who then shows up. And hey, look, Kate Mara's sister and girl with the dragon tattoo popping in and out real quick, like Kate Mara in Iron Man 2. This newspaper shows the year as being 2004, and in October, pretty close to real time. And one of the football dudes dies in a tanning bed 1 full year before Final Destination 3 did the same thing. Then an envelope shows a postmark of October 14th, which matches that newspaper, so kudos to the prop department for attention to the dating. Well, except for the very next shot in which the date has magically transformed to October 18th.
Time travel envelopes are apparently a thing now.
They do the whole spider zit legend since they can get to the more supernatural legends now, since Mary is involved, as this series fully embraces going from a slasher series to ghostly stuff in the third entry. 1 full year before I'll Always Know What You Did Last Summer did the same thing. But before I give this movie too much credit with everyone ripping it off, it's a ghost from the past who died at a dance and is now back for revenge, accompanied by classic music.
Oh, hello Mary Lou.
They reference the events of the other movies, sort of, as David reads a newspaper article about Part 1 while saying aloud the plot of Part 2.
A professor at Alpine University kills his own students using urban legends as his MO.
And they cement the date again by saying the 1969 events happened 35 years ago, so 04 for short. They say that the kids that Mary is killing are the kids of the group of teens responsible for killing her, so I guess it's just a coincidence that the girls have said Bloody Mary 3 times the very night that the same prank was pulled on her was pulled on them. Oh, and did I mention that Mary is just the least spooky ghost girl ever? Sam realizes that she has to find Mary's body because her soul is trapped in a trunk.
Are we sure that this isn't another Mary Lou movie?
Then, in a twist that no one saw coming, and by no one I actually mean everyone, Sam's dad was the one who killed Mary, and she shows up in possibly the worst effect that you will see this entire year. Hands down, no question about it. And kills him. Oh, and did I mention that Mary Lambert directed this? Yep, the director of Pet Sematary gave us this. But, you know, she also gave us Pet Sematary 2, so... Believe it or not, there was actually supposed to be a part 4. In 2007, a movie was in pre-production called Urban Legends Goldfield Murders, an independent production that purchased the UL name. It featured Kellen Lutz and Rowdy Roddy Piper, but Sony ultimately bought back the rights to the Urban Legends name, and the film was ultimately released under the title Ghosts of Goldfield. It's completely unrelated to the rest of the series and doesn't even really have anything to do with Urban Legends, and it's definitely not in the continuity, so we're going to ignore it, much like everyone else did.
So there you have it. It's 3 movies that are, they're kind of linked. The first movie and second movie, they share a character and they definitely are in the same continuity. And the third movie, mentions the first 2, so they're definitely all in the same universe, but they don't really have any bearing on each other. You could watch any one of these 3 movies without having to see the other 2, and it's totally fine. And that's what these movies are. They're fine. I enjoyed them. They were actually fun to watch. They're not terrible. They're bad movies, but they're entertaining. I had a good time watching them. They're just part of that whole post-Scream slasher boom, and they do their job, and you'll have a good time watching them. If you've seen this and you like them, let me know down in the comments below. Hit the like button and subscribe. And it's the holidays, so please, if you feel like you want to give a little gift to the channel and help keep it going, check out the Patreon page. These guys over here are my patrons. They're awesome. They help keep this channel going. I want to wish a very special holiday to those guys, and I want to thank you guys for sticking with me through 2020. I know I was able to put out a lot of videos this year because of the quarantine and all. I have some great stuff planned for 2021. I think you're really gonna look forward to the direction the channel's going, and I have a lot of great stuff lined up. So I'll see you very shortly for another great video. Thanks guys, bye-bye.